There's a fundamental misunderstanding regarding what our personal responsibility is to society and knowing what is fair to expect from our government regarding its responsibility to us. This obligation is taught casually in schools now, but is not internalized or lived by a majority of our society compared to previous generations. A large percentage of our society doesn't even realize they have a personal responsibility to the country. There's also a misunderstanding of what is reasonable to expect from our government regarding its social contract to its citizens. We must all realize we the people are the leaders of the country. Our founders said, we the people must decide what the government's social contract or obligation is to its citizens. The government is supposed to provide security, infrastructure, and to be the national referee by making rules we know as laws. But there is also a growing movement where the term domestic tranquility is thought to mean taking care of all of us from the cradle to the grave. We the people hire managers, who we think of as politicians, by elections to run the country. This works reasonably well because the country is built by geniuses that any idiot could run. And the way Congress is running the country now, there seems to be a constant testing of that premise. We as citizens have a personal contract with the country. That responsibility is for each of us to do our part in making it better. We cannot be freeloaders, which is why socialistic and communistic governments fail. We must pay our taxes, select good managers through elections, to invest our tax dollars to defer future expenses, not to spend tax dollars to get votes by electing politicians who say they will take care of us from the cradle to the grave. The real question is, where does our personal contract to society start? And where does the government's social contract, where we get help from the government, start? When do we as a society find it acceptable to default our responsibilities and let the government take care of us? When is it fair to expect the government to take care of our welfare needs, education, and health, along with all the other social programs that consumes over half of our federal budget? Until we as a democracy decide where that line is regarding these programs and who's going to pay for it, this abuse of our tax dollars will never end, and the national debt will keep growing by borrowing money to pay for these social programs. The opposite of organization is not disorganization, but efficiency. My son says, I'm so organized I can't find anything. The most organized body in the world is the United States government, but it is also the most inefficient and very slow. The government has policies on how to make policies with bureaucrats who do nothing more than make lists about how to make new policies and how to implement them. With that said, expecting government bureaucracy to do anything that would run better than the private sector at a lower cost is incredible. It just doesn't happen. Our country does a good job of providing infrastructure and security because they are measured and have completion dates. But solving social problems, it just doesn't happen, often making the situation worse by finding more victims and expanding the program. This happens because if they solve the problem, they would be out of a job and they'd lose their funding. This is why a fundamental paradigm shift is necessary if this bloated bureaucracy is to be reined in. My commentary on national public service is a start. Our educational system must teach self-sufficiency and problem-solving skills. All these things should be happening to address these problems. But political correctness syndrome makes it difficult to fix and makes it acceptable to whine about these things while doing nothing or even contributing to the problem about which they're complaining. If we do not stop this habit of defaulting to our government and continue to expect the government to fix all our social problems, we are part of the problem and not part of any solution that got this great country to this point in history. This is Keith Kube wishing you the best in making the world a better place.